Namaskar and a very warm welcome to yet another episode of Social Impact Leaders Simply with Suparna. We've been getting a lot of requests to be featured on this interaction. Our basic criteria is that in case you have been a Sabera awardee or Sabera has acknowledged your work in the past 7 years of Sabera's existence, then we would love to have you on board. Of course, it goes without saying that my next guest has also been awarded. He is the CEO of Children's Love Castle, a trust that has been working with STEM education and other fields with the government school across India. But before I formally welcome him, I'd like to start by paying my obeisance to the higher power. Of course, we are observing the Navratris, and I would like to recite the Saraswati Vandana. Essentially, it's an old Sanskrit verse. It talks about the dispelling of darkness that resides within our hearts, with illumining it with the wisdom of knowledge. Ya kundendu tushara dhavala, ya shubhra vastravrita, ya veena varadanda manditakara, ya shweta padamasana, या ब्रह्मचित्त शंकर प्रभुति भी देवै सदा वंदिता सामाम पातु सरस्वती भगवती निशेष जाड्यपहा. Like I was mentioning, we have a very special guest here, of course, somebody who has been leading Children's Love Castle Trust for the past few years. And before that, he was also heading one of India's largest CSR donors, CSR fund giver, that is the SBI Foundation. Mr. Nixon Joseph, thank you so much for taking the time for being here with us for this interaction.
Thank you, Subarna. It's great to be on Sabera platform.
Mr. Joseph, I think you are one of the few individuals who have been probably on both sides of the fence. Now, you are heading a small organization that is working in an impactful way when it comes to education of children in one of the most marginalized sectors across the country. And on the other hand, you have also been somebody who was one of the largest CSR funders across the country when you were with the SBI Foundation. So you have this very unique bird's eye perspective of both these sectors, you know, the funder and the funded. And you can also probably appreciate the need gaps that exist between the two. And that is exactly what we at Sabera keep trying to do in terms of bridging this gap between the two. So I'd like to, first, of course, understand from you, what is it that Children's Love Trust, Love Castle Trust does, and then we'll move forward in the conversation.
Children's Love Castle Trust is an NGO which was established in 1997. And we are focused on digital STEM education in government schools. And we have implemented our program in more than 4,800 schools all over India, benefiting more than 2.5 million students and 80,000 teachers. So what we do is we prepare digital contents on science and mathematics in-house, and then we prepare modules. We upload all these into a television, smart television, and install it in schools. We train the teachers. We have a dashboard where we see how the contents are being used. We also know whether or which chapter has been taught by the teachers, etc. So in that way, there is a live dashboard which captures what is happening to the project which we have implemented in the school. We also update the syllabus on a regular basis, because whenever NCERT makes any change in the syllabus, etc., we make changes in the module, and then it is uploaded in the television as usual from backend. So in that way, we not only implement the project, we also follow up with the schools, etc., to find out how intensively or less intensively the tool is being used. And we also do impact study to see what is the change we have made to the learning levels of these students. And the impact studies prove that 15 to 20% improvement in learning levels in maths and science has happened to these government school students. It's something we are very, very happy, mainly because the government schools do not have adequate teachers. And even if there are adequate teachers, they are not proficient to teach science or mathematics, because of which many of the students may not take a liking to have a career in science or mathematics, etc. But then, because of our intervention, which is called e-Pathshala, many of the students have taken a liking to science. And teachers are also happy that our project is not replacing them, it is only supplementing their efforts. So they don't feel a threat to their career. They feel that this e-Pathshala is helping them teach students in an easy manner. And therefore, students gather more knowledge about the concepts related to science and maths. I remember even in my school days, I used to learn science by heart only. So if after some many years you ask me questions, I won't be able to answer because I didn't know the concepts. Whereas because of our e-Pathshala intervention, many of the government school students they understand the concepts of science, and that is more important. We are very happy because of that. Because instead of learning things by rote, they are able to understand concepts which will help them in their future life, in their future career, etc.
I think it is extremely important, and especially now when we have seen that India has landed on the moon, and that entire process was actually supported by scientists and engineers from tier two, tier three cities, and really, the tier ones who were IIT grads, etc. They've all, it's a brain drain which has happened into Western
Yes.
countries, and it was very heartening to see that almost like some folks that have come from the most marginalized sectors have contributed towards getting India onto the moon. So I think that in
Yes.
itself is a great impetus, I think, for children to be able to develop that fondness for science and
Yes.
technology. So very important work that you're doing, but also a need gap that arises, that in schools probably inherently there has to be a kind of a curriculum, or maybe the teachers should be equipped enough to be able to manage this,
Yes.
considering that in Sabera also we receive numerous entries, and a lot of them are focused on STEM education, with people, with children who are in the marginalized sectors. um, so don't you think there has to be a certain kind of an implementation or a policy change that can bring about this on a permanent level without having to depend on other non-profits to do this?
Look, what you have suggested is an ideal situation. Whereas what in India we are like we are a huge country, with huge large number of schools. Whether the government is having that much resources to bring quality to these schools, we may be able to like bring out model schools in maybe some certain geographies or in a small level only. Due to the large number of schools and lot of systemic issues also, I would tell that most of the teachers consider this as a mere job, whereas teaching should be adopted by only those who are having a passion for it. Because here you are like change makers only. It's not that you are teaching students, you are changing the students. So unless you are considering this role as that of a change maker, and unless you have passion to for teaching, etc., whatever we do, whatever resources we have, it may not be like it may not take care of the gaps. Of course, to a great extent, if you are able to train the teachers, if you are able to provide adequate infrastructure, etc., it can take care of like a major portion of the gap. But I always believe that any work, even if as I am CEO of CLT India or teachers or anyone in the CSR sector, it will be effective and impactful only if the person has a passion for that role. He he wants to make a change. He wants to be a change maker. Otherwise, if we all take it as a mere jobs, then the change would not be in the way as you had suggested. There are gaps, it has to be plugged, but then it can be effectively plugged only if all those of who are in the education sector, who are in the development sector, who are in the NGO sector, are very passionate about the change we are making.
So you have had this very interesting perspective from both sides as a part of SBI Foundation and now as Children's Love Castle Trust. What has there been a change in your thinking as far as the development sector is concerned when you made the move from the funder to be the funded?
Yeah, I will tell you, my change was from banker to the development sector. And from a development sector where I was a donor in SBI Foundation and then as a recipient in CLT India as an NGO. These are all I would tell significant changes. But if we see on a macro level, all these sectors are doing the same role only. In banking also, we are doing a developmental role only. We are supporting so many commoners, citizens achieve their aspirations. We are supporting a lot of corporates who give employment to a lot of people. There also I had a I will feel I was in the development sector, I feel. But when I was in SBI Foundation, what I felt was that I could see the change before me. When I give a loan to a corporate, I'm not able to see before my eyes the change which is being made. Whereas when I am in the CSR Foundation and when I support an NGOs and implementing agency, I see before my eyes the change I am making. And I also did not have a very fair idea about what is development sector. But then this exposure in SBI Foundation as a donor helped me learn more about this sector. When I was in CSR as a CSR donor, my greatest challenge was how to get a trustworthy implementing agency. Because hundreds of NGOs, implementing agencies, approach us for funds. And everyone's project looks great in a PowerPoint presentation. Everyone is doing great work. But whom to give loan? That is a big challenge. And when I have come to CLT India as a CEO, being part of NGO, and I'm also mentoring various NGOs as well. What I learned is that NGOs face a lot of challenges. The first thing being getting quality human resource. Mm-hmm. Because NGOs cannot pay well or adequately well, they are not able to attract good talent. That affects their work. Most of the NGOs find fundraising a big challenge. Many of them are not able to write even a grant proposal properly. Capacity building of NGOs is a big issue. Who has to support NGOs in building the capacity is a big question. So these are the challenges which I find many of the NGOs are facing. For the donors, I find only challenge could be how to find an trustworthy implementing partner. But there are several cases where, in spite of supporting a partner whom we have identified, the project has not gone well.
So what I'm hearing from you is the actual on-ground non-profits who are doing good, essentially have these challenges not just from a monetary perspective, but also from, say, for example, a mentorship or a capacity building perspective. Just the very fact that how to write a grant proposal, it can be a bigger challenge. So mentors like this are very important, and I think you're giving me some kind of inputs to how Sabera can also probably help bridge these gaps. Maybe to some of the winners or some of the applicants, we can request our jury members and our speakers or people who've been associated with Sabera to be able to mentor them, both
Yes.
social entrepreneurs as well as the development sector, the non-profit sector. It's not just about money, but also hand holding them through, like
Yes.
how the whole ecosystem for entrepreneurship has been developed. I think the ecosystem for the non-profit sector needs to also be developed.
Yes. Because see, government has made it mandatory that 2% of the profit should be spent for CSR. And the companies want to comply with it. But mere compliance is not enough. We have to see that whatever resources we have given, the 2% which we have given to an implementing agency is implemented properly, funds are utilized properly, and the project is very, very effective. It has been impactful. So all this can happen only if the NGO is also strong. So if you are not focusing or paying attention to capacity building of NGOs, you are actually, your resources, that 2% is getting wasted only. And another aspect which I have found being in this sector is there are so many grassroots level NGOs doing good work.
I was just coming to that because,
Very
in my
profile.
perspective, I think the smaller NGOs are much more passionate and much more impactful, whereas the larger organizations like SBI or HUL or other multinational corporations actually look for somebody who can probably handle a larger amount of their monies, and they don't need to kind of invest in the smaller ones. So that is also a kind of a
That's where here I will, you have like touched on a very important point. CSR funds are mostly with the corporate foundations. They would like to deal with NGOs which are reputed, which are having famous promoters, who are able to present, who are able to tell their story very well. But grassroots level NGOs, they cannot afford, their promoters are not very famous. They cannot afford to have employees who can tell the stories, who can communicate effectively. With the result that, I often feel there is a class system in this development sector also. There are NGOs who are upper class, who are able to attract most of the resources. Whereas grassroots level NGOs, they are not able to attract the resources. Even if they come to, I will tell you, any foundation, etc., they may not gain much traction because no one knows their promoters. And we will like to, when the communication skill is very poor, we may not be getting convinced. Their storytelling may not be effective. With the result, they will not get any grant, and that cycle repeats. So they will not be able to scale up or grow. Whereas the big NGOs, large segment NGOs, they are growing because they're able to attract funds. Name is enough. And most of the foundations, what they want is their money should be spent. And they'll say, okay, this NGO is very famous, reputed, let us partner with them. So this has to be looked into and reviewed if we should have very egalitarian system in this sector also.
And not just that, I think corporates also look at dealing with or maybe a single point of contact as opposed to smaller non-profits doing impactful work. So that also creates a bit of a challenge, I think, and in a way the actual do-gooders seem to get left behind. And
Yes.
again, I come back to Sabera trying to build that bridge between them. I think we as a platform can also offer to help better communicate, because the idea again is to amplify the voices of the people who are doing good work. But we can also officially get mentors on board, or maybe just say, for example, you were also our jury member in the last edition.
Yes.
Somebody like you can also offer some amount of your time to be able to mentor, and I think that is something that you're actively already doing and bringing your learning from a financial sector into the non-profit sector. Would you like to
Yes.
share something about that as well?
See, like us, a person coming from the financial sector, I would first like to address the risk associated with every organization. So when I came to CLT India, I was first analyzing the risk. What are the risks which are inherent or which are hidden in this organization? And then try to address that. And I always feel that this is very important. Risk management is very, very important in the development sector also. Actually, I find the difference between banking and the development sector is not much. Only thing is in banking, you have to give interest to what loans you have taken. But then at the same time, banker sees that the loan is utilized effectively. What are the risks that is inherent in the project, etc. So I believe a banker is much more suited to be in the development sector and make the development sector more professional. So here also in CLT India, I was analyzing what are the risks involved here. One could be funds. If there is a stoppage of funds, how I will deal with the situation. Or I'm having a connection with only one or two funders. That is a risk. Or in the like if you come to HR, maybe 1 or 2% are only knowing whatever is happening in the NGO. That has to be plugged. If one person suddenly leaves, what will happen to the organization? So all these risk has to be analyzed. That is one thing. And secondly, as a banker, as I told you, we want the funds to be utilized. Same thing I feel in this sector also. We have to see that whatever funds we receive or whatever funds we give are utilized effectively.
Right. And I think you have had a very interesting experience as part of the financial sector when you moved to the northeast of the country, and that has emboldened you to take, or rather, get out of your comfort zone. And that is what you famously also talk about. Taking on to running at the age of 40, something that you were not exposed to earlier at all, as in you weren't really an athlete. So I want you to share a little bit about that as well from your journey.
Okay, see, this I was never an athlete in my life. Till the age of 46, I should confess that I was not into any physical activity at all. I was more focused on reading, studying, and doing exams, etc. But then at the age of 46, I was thinking life is not going to office at 9 a.m. and coming back at 9 p.m. Life is not just doing work alone. Life is much, much bigger than all this. Work should be only one part of your life. I was thinking that SBI at that time, we had 250,000 officials. Am I inspiring others? This was a question which was before me. I'm going to office at 9 a.m., coming back at 9 p.m. I was a very good officer. Am I inspiring others? So I thought everyone is having a life, and that life should be used in such a way that it inspires others. So I was thinking I should do something which will inspire all the other 250,000 bankers. I should do something by which I'll be different from others. And I was thinking for a few months what to do. Then I stumbled upon this idea that in SBI or other banks, there was no one doing long distance running at that time in 2005. So I thought if I do long distance running, I'll be able to be different from others. I'll be able to inspire others. So suddenly I saw in the newspaper that they are inviting applications for registration for the Standard Chartered Mumbai Marathon. I registered for the full marathon even without knowing what would be the distance, because my thought was somehow I should be different from others. So many people discouraged me. They told me don't go for such adventurous activities. But then I thought that I should come out of the cage of being only a banker. I should come out of the cage which tells me that you are good only as a banker, or you are good only as a student. You are not good as an athlete, or you are not good in any outdoor activities, etc. That thought I should come out of this cage. Whatever may come, I am going to participate in this marathon. I registered for the race. The race started after 5-6 kilometers. I couldn't go ahead. That is my first marathon. But then I thought whether I should surrender or not. But then I thought if I surrender, I will not be a person different from others. If it is so easy, everyone will do. It is a challenge that describes you. How you face the challenge that describes you. So somehow I continued, and it took 7 hours for me to complete my first full marathon. I got the finisher's medal, and it gave me the message that if you are determined, you can achieve anything in life. And I started doing like making running something of hobby. I will not tell hobby. It became a pastime for me, and now every day I do at least 5 to 10 kilometers. And I'm
Wow.
very proud to tell that in spite of lot of challenges, in spite of hectic office schedules, traveling helter skelter all over India, I could complete 69 full marathons so far. And I have inspired thousands of people. Thousands of people have started into fitness activities, started jogging, running, etc., inspired by me. And I will tell that from zero physical activity, I have also been nominated as ambassador of Fit India mission of the government of India. Government of India. So I feel that if I could achieve whatever, like I have told, all of you could achieve much more. In fact, each of us is endowed with a lot of potential. Are we using it? So I have
Super.
used
I think
little of that.
that's a inspirational story that you have shared. And of course, being physically fit is one of the most important aspects of human existence. And that's how you can actually go ahead and do other stuff. We were talking about how smaller nonprofits should be supported. And I think there is one of the viewers, Ved Oja, who is talking about the same thing. Of course, he's requesting you to support smaller NGOs, but I don't think you are now in that position, or are you? If you have to, since you understand both the sides of the fence, how is it that you can inspire corporations or larger institutions to actually focus their shift from only reputed large organizations and towards impactful smaller nonprofits?
See, though I am heading an NGO here, I am involved in various CSR foundations, other NGOs also. I understand the challenges. I'm also in the board of S-Bank Foundation, and I give at least 100 talks a year on topics connected to development sector. When I go for panel discussion or when I am asked to give a keynote speech and all, in all my talks, I mention about the need for corporates, foundations to support grassroots level small NGOs. In all my speeches, I tell that this is something corporates should focus on, including capacity building of NGOs. Because if you are not building capacity of NGOs, you are in fact wasting your funds. As I told earlier, this class system of supporting only upper class NGOs should change. We should, like, I will tell that most of the grassroots level NGOs are in remote places, remote regions where other NGOs are not reaching at all. And many of them are doing it with passion. So if you are able to support them, we are able to change India. And we are like lending a hand help in the growth of such NGOs, which will lead to the growth of the community around them also, which they are supporting, and to the country also. So this is something which I speak in all my like I mention in all my talks, and wherever I am associated with, be it foundations or or corporates, I tell them that we have to also see how we can support small NGOs.
Super. I think as a parting note, I would like you to share your experience being on the jury for Sabera, and if you feel that this is the right step forward for us to be able to help mentor, smaller non-profit individuals who are doing impactful work, and maybe also approach you to be one of the mentors, considering that you have been mentoring throughout your career.
Yeah, first I would tell I am mentoring various NGOs and foundations, and wherever it is pro bono, and wherever it is like my time permits, I am ready to support. any NGO or foundation who feel that I would be of help to them. And Sabera, I appreciate Sabera because it is providing a platform to amplify excellence. So much of good work. In spite of whatever I told about this sector, I will tell that everyone is trying to bring some change, and that has to be appreciated. We cannot tell that change can be brought about in a perfect manner, in an idealistic manner. Okay, if it happens, so it is good, but then at least we should all appreciate and admit that change is happening, and all the NGOs, all the foundations, except maybe minuscule percent, they are trying to bring change in whatever way they know. And these good things which they are doing, their good performance, their good ideas, their good projects are being highlighted when in these Sabera Awards. As part of jury, what I felt very significant is that there is no element of favoritism. It's all decided on a professional way. And therefore, it is something like I was a jury of ICC, Indian Chamber of Commerce, Kolkata or Kerala Management Association. I used to tell that I would like to associate only with platforms which are professional, which do not show any favoritism, and which also, as you told, are having the idea of mentoring those who require mentoring. It means you are growing from this level to the next level. You are appreciating the good work being done by NGOs and foundations, but at the same time, you feel that there is a need for mentoring. There are gaps in this sector, and as Sabera being a very like a platform active in the development sector, it's a good step that you are taking in trying to address the gaps in the sector, especially capacity building and connecting NGOs and foundations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Joseph, for being here with us. And we wish you good luck and good health to continue your both individual endeavors as well as endeavors in the non-profit development sector. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.